watching Managing Day to Day with me, Christina Laster, and National Parents Union. I hope you're all well. I hope you're all thriving. Hello to America's beautiful children. We love you. And so today I have an amazing guest. But before, I want you to remember to check out our Every Family Votes campaign and make sure that you are registered, you are counted in the census, you're counted in the vote. Very important that you know that information, where to go, where is your location at, is it in person? Are you already registered for your mail-in ballot? You should have received that information right about now. I received mine in the mail last week. I have text notification, email notification all set up, and so I'm staying up to date and making sure that I know exactly what's going on. And so today we have a mentor of mine. She is the community mom, grandma, historian, and now candidate for San Bernardino City Unified Board. And so, let's bring Miss Joette Spencer Campbell out, and I'm sure you all will learn a lot. Hello, Miss Joette. Hello. Take it off of mute.
There you go.
There we go. How are you doing today?
I'm well.
That's good. I'm so glad that I could have you on to share your expertise and your passion and what drove you to ultimately run for school board. And so tell everyone who you are, where you're at, and why you decided to run for school board.
My name is Joette Spencer Campbell. I'm in San Bernardino, California. I'm a mother, grandmother of children still attending school in the San Bernardino school area. And the reason I chose to run for school board is kind of multi-layered. One, I talked to a mentor, someone I respected, and I told them I was thinking about running. And because someone had asked me. And what the person told me is that if you don't think the person there, the people that are there, are doing a good job, or if you think you could do a better job, then you should run. So based on that, I decided to run.
That's right.
And it's not so much, I felt I could do a better job. And that takes me to the history part of it. When they started to disaggregate the student data for San Bernardino City Schools, and I learned that the African American children were performing at the bottom. They only performed above the special needs children. So based on what I believed, I knew something had to be done. Then as I approached different people and I asked them, I shared the information that I had learned with them. And I think it impacted me different. And the reason I believe it impacted me differently is because I didn't believe that it had to be so. So right. Based on what I believed about African American children, I started to approach different community agencies. So I joined in with them, with others that didn't believe that it had to stay that way. And from there, we worked on a plan. It was called the Targeted Instructional Improvement Plan for African American students. We worked on that plan for 2 years. After 2 years, working that plan with San Bernardino City Schools and community and staff, implementation looked a lot different than what we had talked about. And so based on that, I became very frustrated. And in my frustration, I met someone who was then the education advisor for Governor Schwarzenegger. And they told me that they would come back, that they looked at the situation, they had seen us. They had seen us. So So we heard and we see. And
Yeah.
based on that, she told me that she would come back. 8 months later, she came back and we built a school. The first year out, where those students, same students, I had heard every excuse there was on why the African-American students didn't perform well.
Mm.
I started to visit board meetings and they said they didn't perform well. You know, this is a low socioeconomical area. They said, well, you know, the parents, you know, it always kind of leads back to the parents, you know, it's their lifestyle, their background. And I visited the board meetings for 6 months. And that seemed to be a common theme and a common belief.
Which is still today.
That they were doing the best they could.
Mm-hmm.
So the expectation was that everybody was doing the best they could. As long as everybody makes it out alive, you know, we've all done a good job. But when I met with this person and I was shown how it could be done better,
Mm-hmm.
I asked her if she would come and do it in our area. That school is Hardy Brown College Prep, and that person is Margaret Fortune. The first year out, the test scores were 802. Same population, same Black kids, same parents, same environment. So it could be done better. So when that person that I spoke to, that I respected, and she asked me, if you think you could do a better job, I've proven I could do a better job.
That's right.
I found someone and we did a better job on educating African-American students. So why am I running now? When I drive up and down the streets, I see the San Bernardino is listed as the 3rd worst city in the United States. The 3rd worst city. When I see buildings boarded up, businesses boarded up, when I hear of our children being killed, when I see the low expectations, when I see thriving communities around me growing and doing better, I believe I can do better. And that's
so
why
you decided to run. And you know what? I have to say that Miss Joette is one of the few people that I met that understands has urgency behind it, right? Our kids cannot wait. And so she has helped me to understand more about how important and how serious it is to be involved in this education battle, because they will wait you out. And so having someone that is in the community, has the knowledge, cares about our children today, not some distant future that we don't know if it's going to come or not, right? That sounds like a fairy tale, right? Is somebody that you do want to elect. And I hope that you win, because I know exactly what it feels like to sit in those meetings as a parent and a grandparent and an employee. I used to work for the district. I know walking away thinking, is this going to work this time? And then years later, you find out that whole equity plan that you helped to come up with wasn't really a priority, right? And it wasn't going to get implemented in the way that me and the other parents believe that it would, to impact our children's lives and education now, right? And so it's interesting when you hear all of these excuses, all of these things. Oh, the kids, it's because their parents are poor. Oh, the kids, it's because their parents are incarcerated. Oh, the kids, it's because they're impoverished. Oh, this and this and that. But right in that very community, Hardy Brown College Prep exists. Same environment, same children, same parents, and they're exceeding mastery.
And another thing, when we talk about when it comes to parents, I think the parents are hopeful.
Yeah.
First of all, they don't know the history of it. I was fortunate when it was 2003 2004 when they started to disaggregate the data.
Mm-hmm.
One of the older members came to me, and we had formed a group concerning African American parents.
Mm-hmm.
And this person said, this is the same conversation we had with them. And now that was 2003, that they had had through the 90s, 80s and 90s. Then I know another group of parents that had the same conversation. You know, it's called the Mothers, I think it was the Mothers League or the Coalition of Mothers. I remember
Right.
in 1972 when I went to San Bernardino,
That's
these
deep,
mothers were
Miss
working,
Joette.
these mothers were working on the same thing. So here it was. We're still having the same conversation and the same outcomes. When I left the area for a couple of years, when I came back and I sat in one of those targeted instructional improvement plan meetings, I looked at the faces of those parents. They were hopeful.
Mm-hmm.
It was the exact same conversation.
From
You know,
72 to
the
the
same
2000.
conversation.
I need my audience to catch that, okay? Miss Joette just told you the same conversation was taking place in 1972 that was brought into the 2000s, okay? Parents still hopeful, but it was the same conversation.
Okay, and if we now, let's fast forward to 2020, COVID-19.
Mm.
I've seen how it goes with plans. When we come out of COVID-19, there's going to be a coalition of people brought together. They'll be from the community. There'll be a few parents from the ELAC, the DAC, and the school site councils. Those will be the parent representatives. They'll come together. My concern is, if every time I call the school district, San Bernardino City Schools, every time I call the school district, they answer the phone, we have a 93% success rate. Only 30% of those students are prepared for career college when they leave. What about that 60% with those diplomas that I don't know what those diplomas represent, but I know that they aren't proficient and they're not prepared for life. So what about that 60%? That 60% is what I see reflected when I drive around San Bernardino. When I hear students being killed, they're no longer students because now they're adults. Mm-hmm. The district motto is make hope happen. How do you expect a population to make hope happen that doesn't believe that hope can happen?
Right.
How can you teach something to someone that you don't even believe yourself can happen? When they were giving the excuses on why African American children didn't succeed, they had no expectation that they could succeed. Now, the bigger picture is not only about African American students. With COVID-19, that's everybody.
Right.
So if you're going to make hope happen, the fact that you say there's success in 93%, that you know that 60% of them are not prepared. When it comes to COVID-19, if you call that 60% that are graduating unproficient, if you call that success after COVID-19, how are you going to measure that success? I see what you've done with the other, and I don't know if I have the ability to share a screen because I'm not telling you something. I have the 16, 17.
Yeah, if you click on share screen, it should be a green button at the bottom. You can share whatever you would like to share, click on it, and then press share in the right-hand corner of that screen. You see it?
Okay.
And so while she's searching for that, I want you to understand that we have to collectively shift our understanding and our mentality. The deficit is not, I don't care what we've been told or how the narratives have been created. Deficit is not in our children, okay? And the deficit is not in us. That parent blaming and shaming game time's up on that. But you know what time's up on? Achievement gaps, created ones, okay? Because it's being done and it's being proven to be done. And that's why here at National Parents Union, we're advocating and battling for a right to a high quality public education. It should not be an education where our children have to be put at the bottom and have to wait. Okay, so here it is right here.
Okay, so when you look at the California Department of Education, this report from the data, January 26, 2018. This is the year 16, 17. Look at that information. It's the district level. This is for San Bernardino City Unified. And when you scroll over here, when you see, let me move this up. When you look at the achievement level, for Hispanics, like 36% that graduated, that's females. 22% of the males are prepared with the required courses. 29% total. You look, this is our community. That's the bulk of the students here. The females and the males. So if you have 755, what about that other? You have 2,500 that graduated. They're not prepared. Look at the African Americans. 25, 17, 22. And guess what? When you look over here, these are the whites. 38%, 28, 33%. So when I drive around town, that's what I see. I see the results of that. That's not from me. That's from the California Department of Education.
Right,
So
we're not making this up.
Right, so when we come out of COVID, and
they haven't tested.
We haven't had we haven't had any test score. There were none last year, there will be none this year.
Right.
Then you're gonna, and we're not sure about the year after that, because see, then there will be that, we shouldn't be accountable for testing for this year because these 2 years they've been in training. So they're gonna want one
but
full
they
year.
should, because they got learning loss mitigation funds, right? And so where's the accountability behind what you got for your average daily attending students if you don't want to create a subpopulation or subgroup, as you call it? And where's your accountability behind the learning loss and the funds?
They're going to want one full year of in classroom, and then maybe we'll get the test results. Okay, so we're looking at
3 years, 3 to 5.
Right. So we're going to look at 1 year. I'll minimize it. I'll say we're going to have 1 year, right, where this committee meets.
Right.
Okay. From everything I've seen, it's always been 2 years meeting, year and a half.
Right.
Okay.
Right. 3 to 5 years to implement.
Right. So I'll give it 1 year. Then after they get the results from that 1 year, that's when they're going to have the meetings, because they can't meet until they get the results, right? They can't meet until they know what they're meeting about. We're looking at 5 years minimum. 5 years minimum. So a child that's in 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, that kid will be in 11th grade. We're already counting success. We saw what success looks like.
Right.
When you call the district, 93, we already saw what success looks like.
Well, their measure of success.
Right. That's what so we already saw what success looks like. Yeah. What is success going to look like for that 11th grader that was in the 6th grade at the beginning of this?
During COVID.
Right. And then two, do we go back? See, right now, the parents that are meeting and those happy parents that I saw, they represent the 33%. Their kids are going to be okay.
All right, Miss Joanne, I'm gonna need you to break this down and bring it, because I was just about to ask you.
It's always that 33% they talk about. When they talk about success, they're talking about that 33. Those kids were going to be successful anyway. Their parents had the tools, the information. I saw a meeting that they were having, and somebody put under the caption, "These are good parents."
Mm-hmm.
I saw a mother and a father who have a doctorate working in the school district.
Right.
Yeah, they're good parents. They have the resources, the information. They have everything right there at their
disposal.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They know all of the ins and outs. Even a program director.
Mm-hmm.
She knows what program. She's already had a plan for her kid from preschool. And then the question is, well, why doesn't everybody have a plan? That's what we want parents to know, that we want them to have a plan. Get a relationship with them, and you can give them a plan. And here's another, if they can't do it, and recognize that some of the parents can't. I was one of the parents that couldn't.
Right.
But being inside the school district, I could go and I could ask a friend, do you know where a good 3rd grade teacher is? Do you know where a good 4th grade teacher is? I did that all through my children's educational life.
Mm-hmm.
You know where and when I couldn't find one, I would have to make a choice. I'd have to put them in private school. And then I'd hope for it at the next level. Here's another thing. When with education, things are always changing about. When my youngest daughter started school, they had started whole language.
Mm-hmm.
And teachers were told not to teach phonics.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter needed phonics. She was a phonetic, learner, phonetic reader. And I had started her out, hat, cat, bat, rat, that. But they were told not to teach it. They were doing this new concept. Knew wasn't going to work for my daughter, and I knew that. So I had to drive her to Fontana to a private school that me as a single parent, I couldn't really afford it.
And tell people how far away that is from where you're at, Fontana.
Fontana's probably 15, 20 miles from here. Mm-hmm. And remember, I had to be at work at 8 o'clock.
Right. Right.
So hence, my older daughter, who's 9 years older than that youngest one, she's in high school. So I had to shift where I made sure she had a driver's license at 16, and she had to help me with that. Because we're family. But it took all of that. It was so, that was a struggle in itself. So I'm part of that 60% that would have been left behind had I not had the resources and different people. My oldest daughter, her teacher told her about Richardson Prep. She told me about it. That's how my daughter got into that particular school. They start giving the SAT to those kids in the 7th grade. They keep building on it. They make sure they're successful. That's their high performing middle school. Their high performing elementary school is Hillside. So the teachers from Cal State San Bernardino, it's a demo school for them. So they have all the newest technology and stuff. But with our population, why do you only have one school?
Right. Right.
What do you do with
Exactly.
the money we already give
San
you?
Bernardino, if you guys don't know, California is one of the largest regions in California. Okay. And so when we're talking about just the demographics, it warrants way more better schools. I'm so glad that you fought for Hardy Brown College Prep to be there because absolutely necessary.
Mhm.
One thing I can say about you being a candidate is that you are the best person for that role, right? There's been times when I've had to give balance and you told me, Christina, your kids are part of the 33%, they gonna be okay. It's the 67% that we hunt and fight for. Go find them, help them, and that's why I tell people, how is your neighbor, right? Because just when you think your child is not doing well, but you're the one in all the meetings, you look around and you think about, well, wait, where is the 67%? Because they're not in this meeting. And the information and the resources that are necessary are not getting to them unless we go find them and help. And so, I'm really big on the who is your neighbor, helping your neighbor, just being that guiding force and the glue that holds the community together. And I know that you're big on that too. And
Because
so,
on average, and this is what I told parents, I know you don't have time to sit in all those meetings.
right,
They don't have the time. They're working two jobs, which leads me to another conversation. When a company like Amazon comes into a community like San Bernardino, what conversations are you having with this company? What are you going to do for us?
right.
We already know it's set up like the Hunger Games. 25 people are 25 people are hired. That 25 people, I saw an article too. 25 people are hired. When they go in, they don't have benefits. They don't have the same benefits that you would have if you go with a local company like Stater Brothers.
Right.
Stater Brothers, this guy and his cousin had started work at the same time. He went to Amazon and his cousin went to Stater Brothers. The day that his cousin walked in to Stater Brothers, he had benefits.
Right.
This person over here, remember, he's in the Hunger Games.
Mm-hmm.
Only 10 of them are going to make it. And then they weed it down to 5, then 3. And I've heard that getting to that higher tier is almost impossible, of where you get the benefits and things that, that's almost impossible to get to. So what conversation, and was the school district in on the conversation? Because we're one of the highest employers here. So
Right.
was anybody from the school district in that conversation? And were they talking about the things that I know this 60% is concerned about? You want to make a livable wage. You want to make, you want to have some kind of job security.
Right.
To be able to, you want to be able to work. You don't mind working hard. And see, that's the misconception that people have about community where poverty exists. They figure they're lazy, they're this, they're this. The same myths that were dispelled when we opened the school. They figure they just don't want any better.
Right.
They have the same wants and desires that you have for your family.
True.
So those conversations, what did those conversations look like? And did they represent? I don't believe they represented.
I don't think our authentic voices were there, Ms. Joette, and that often happens in a lot of realms, not just education, right?
Right.
And that's why we battle so hard to make sure that the authentic voice of the people that we represent is represented at those tables, right?
Right.
And in those areas, especially within education, and to silence some of the voices that would say, oh, it's going to take 10 years, right?
Oh my gosh.
You know, like, no, it's not. This is a right now urgent need. Our children cannot wait. We're not going to continue to allow them to wait. We're going to, one by one, if it take one person at a time, one family at a time, one community at a time, ensure that our children have a high quality education, period.
That's what I was told.
Mm-hmm.
I was told, and remember at the time that Hardy Brown came about, the school, I was employed for San Bernardino City Schools.
Right.
I was told I need to be patient. I was told I needed to wait. And you know, they told me kindly. And then sometimes because my response was not what was always expected,
Mm-hmm.
they said, you know, well, you need to slow down. Systemic changes, you know, that's difficult. That's not, I should not have to change somebody's mind
Right.
of educating students.
Either they want to educate the children or they don't, period.
That's kind of the bottom line. So
That's the bottom
saw it
line.
urgent. And when I went back and I saw those same hopeful parents, and not taking anything from them because they're doing what they're supposed to do. But when I saw the same parents, the same hopeful parents that they were actually achieving something. When I saw them, I thought about, what if I had waited?
Right.
What if I had waited? What if I had accepted the fact that you said it's because they're poor? What if I had believed when you said it's because of the parents? When I heard it, it impacted me differently.
Mm-hmm.
I saw it as a matter of urgency, and I saw it as something that could not wait. And when that attitude was echoed by the education advisor, I said, that's somebody I could work with.
Right.
Because I see it as urgent, and I cannot wait. I can't wait for my children. I don't have the type of personality that allows me just to sit back and accept
Exactly.
what I know can be changed.
And
When I
so,
drive up and down the streets, I don't accept the fact. I believe our children deserve more.
yeah.
All of the children, they deserve more than what you're calling success. And I'm willing, win, lose, or draw, I'm willing to do something about it. And I believe the parents here, I have higher expectations for them. I believe if you give them accurate information, it will motivate them also.
Mm-hmm.
If they knew the truth, if they knew what 93% looked like, I believe it would motivate them also. They want the same thing for their children as I want for mine, that you want for yours.
Correct.
Because I was asked that question too in the midst of that. Well, you know, what do you think it is we should do? First of all, this person was making $200,000. At that time, I think I was making 40 or something. So I didn't find that flattering. We pay you
No.
Do the same thing for mine that you would do for yours.
Exactly.
Would you allow your child to continue to go to
a failing school?
To a failing school that you knew was not going to provide him or her with what they needed to be successful? Do for mine what you do for yours. And understand this, because I know the drive within me, and I had already seen it with my children.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to accept that, nothing less for my grandchildren. I said that it could be done. The same drive. Those parents have it too. So the same high, if you don't have the expectation, you're working at the level of your expectation. You don't have a problem driving around, in and out and through. Maybe you have a little shortcut where you never have to see D Street. Maybe there's a way, there's no down. downtown here, there's no downtown that I've seen. You know, when I see people, oh, the level
Of expectations.
of expectation, I believe you're working at your level of expectation. So I don't know how you could deliver hope.
Right. Or an appropriate education.
Right.
Right.
So
Because
making hope happen.
no. And so, you know, speaking of expectations and do for our children as you would do to yours, right? For yours, that's what we call in loco parentis, right? So in loco parentis says that when the children are in your zone, custody, whatever you want to call it, you're supposed to treat them and teach them as if they were your own. Okay, and I'm just basically summing that up. So I hope that you don't teach and treat your children the way that you do ours. I really pray that you don't. Because if you did, I'd feel really bad for your children. And I would hope that someone would rescue them too. Okay.
When I speak of this, like I was saying, I knew my children would be part of that, the 30%.
Mm-hmm.
But I also didn't want them feeling like they were born into something inferior.
Exactly.
I wanted them to see that children that look like them, that they can do better.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
so with our community, the children, as they drive around here or walk around here, catch the bus. I think that also, and always hearing about the lack of performance
Right.
for the city of San Bernardino. And maybe that's why they say 93%, because it's success. Maybe they don't want them to lose hope. But if driving around here, if that doesn't create a sense of hopelessness in our children and in their parents and in the families here, that's enough to create a sense of hopelessness.
Right.
And I think it's urgent that something be done about it.
And that's why you're running for school board.
Exactly.
And that's why you're the right person, because you care about the 67%. You care about, you know, what the environment looks like. You care about high quality education enough that you guys battle to bring a school in that's showing that it can be done, right? And so tell people your priority issue that you're gonna, you know, that you want to take off running with, and then if you could give a final word of advice. I'm telling you, this is my mentor that I'm sharing with the world. And I appreciate you, Miss Joette. I really do, because I learned a lot just being on the battleground with you, understanding that same conversations was taking place in the 70s that's taking place today. I wouldn't have remembered. I was born in 77, so I'm so glad to have that historical context, right? And to understand that what it is that we're fighting for is very well worth the fight. Because some people will try to discourage you, you know, and tell you it can't be done. But I believe that it can. Like you, we're bringing restoring hope, right, while fighting for education justice. So talk about, you know, what your one thing that you're going to prioritize as a school board member, and then if you could give a final word of hope and tell people where to find you.
Okay, my priority is parent engagement, real parent engagement.
Real parent engagement.
Right. And education creates opportunities. And I believe that children in this community deserve the opportunity to earn a great education.
Oh, yeah.
They
should have the right.
Right. They have the right to earn a great education, not the data that we saw from the California Department of Education. My name is Joette Spencer Campbell. I'm running for San Bernardino City Unified School Board. And I know how to make hope happen.
How can people find you?
I'm at Joette S. Campbell.
Okay, let me type it in so you can take your time.
Joette S. Campbell at gmail.com.
So if you guys want to help in any ways, you know, I know that on Saturdays you have some running meetings that people can come and help out. And you can contact Miss Joette and find out exactly how to help pick up arms and help out, right? And
We're going door
so
to
at
door now.
Gmail, huh?
We're going door to door now.
Oh, you guys are going door to door? Yes. Great. And so there's a way that people can help if they feel comfortable doing that. I put your information in the chat for those who want to reach out. And I just, I really do hope you win. I'm right here battling with you. Well, I'm sure we'll see each other soon at the same time. Can you give a final word of advice for parents that are watching and maybe feeling a little bit hopeless,
But you know what? My advice to parents are, I know you're busy.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want them to know I'm willing to be your voice.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ask you to come to a lot of meetings, but that's the reason I want to be in the meetings.
Right.
I never require, because I know that real life, parents, they have things to do.
Right.
A lot of single parents, and I want to be in that meeting and speak for them. And you know what? I won't just, I'm not a place setting.
Right.
When I show up, I show up.
That's right.
I'm there.
Holding it down in San Bernardino, Miss Joette Spencer Campbell. I am so glad that you came on today. We'll definitely have to check back in with you and see what happens. I have hope. I have hope in the voters. Make sure that your vote is counted. Make sure that while you're paying attention to the presidential election, you are also paying attention to the local election. Those local elections affect you on a day-to-day basis more than what you think. It's not something that's far off, like, oh, well, if the federal government does this. No, you need to be paying attention to what is happening at the local levels. School board counts, okay? Pay attention. If someone has promised in the past and not delivered, they need to go. Period. That's just my advice, my personal advice. And making informed decisions about what you are going to be voting for, right? Don't just pick the name that you say, oh, well, we recognize this. That recognizable mentality might keep you trapped. How has their track record looked? Definitely be paying attention to that. So Ms. Joette, thank you again for sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, your hope, message of hope. Thank you all national viewers who are watching this episode of Managing Day to Day. I hope that you all stay well. I hope that you all thrive. Goodbye to America's beautiful children. We love you as always, and I will see you again on Tuesday. But in the meantime, check out the Every Family Votes campaign. Membership is free. You can always join National Parents Union for that vital information, stay up to date, and then activate your voice, right? And also there are shows that are aired on our National Parents Union Facebook Live page during the day. There's something for everyone, so please check it out. All right, we'll see you again. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, you're out. That was a great show, ladies.